दीपा मैडम सुप्रभातम।
नमस्कार मैडम, नमस्कार. रविराज बोलतोय.
सर सुप्रभातम.
सुप्रभातम सर. Sir, I think we should start. Let the people join whenever they want to join.
Yes. That's you're right. Just I just talked to our MHS observer, respected Sampath Bhatani sir. He had joined.
Good
morning. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Suprabhatam Acharya.
Namaste, sir.
Should we start now?
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Shubhamadhanna to everyone. Hello, I'm Dr. Kriya Vishleshan, Assistant Professor of Kriya Sharir Department, and today's host. I welcome you all in today's webinar, Kriya Vishleshan 2022, to be conducted by Jupiter Ayurveda Medical College, Nagpur. Today, among us, we have distinguished guest faculties. Dr. Subhash Wage sir, Principal of our college, Dr. Raviraj Pardesi sir, Professor and HOD of Kriya Sharir Department, Chairperson respected Dr. Deepa Kale ma'am, HOD of Kriya Sharir Department, YMT Ayurved College, Navi Mumbai. Today's session observer from MUHS is respected Dr. Sampath Bhatani sir, Principal of B.R. Harne Medical College, Thane, Mumbai. Also, we are blessed to have our assistant partner, Lions Club President, Dr. Parvati Rani ma'am with us. I request to ma'am to extend her wishes to this webinar. Parvati ma'am.
You can proceed with. You can introduce the guest.
Okay, sir. Let me introduce the chairperson of today's webinar, respected Dr. Deepa Kale ma'am. Presently, she is working as professor and HOD in YMT Ayurved College, Kharghar, Navi Mumbai. She has guided many PGs and PhD students. She has published many research articles in national and international peer-reviewed journals. We have Dr. Sampath Bhatani sir, who is the MUHS observer. He's from B.R. Harne Medical College, Thane, Mumbai. He's principal of that college. So should we proceed with the webinar, sir?
Yeah, ma'am, you continue.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Friends, this is 23rd webinar conducted by our college under leadership of our able, respected principal, Dr. Subhash Wage sir, and our motivating dynamic secretary, respected Mrs. Tarini Nikhare ma'am. Without wasting much time, I would like to invite today's first guest speaker, respected Dr. Subhash Wage sir, to enlighten the subject. But before that, I would like to introduce our dynamic principal, Dr. Subhash Wage sir. Despite being person of Rog Nidan, is delivering his lecture on Kriya Sharir topic. This shows his profound knowledge in Ayurveda. Dr. Subhash Wage sir has done BMS from GAC Nagpur, MD in Ayurveda Rog Nidan from Sri Ayurveda College Nagpur. Apart from these degrees, he has many degrees and diplomas to his credit from medical sciences to Indic sciences. He has written 18 Ayurvedic books, twice got Best Book of the Year award from Ranade Foundation, Pune. He wrote 42 research articles in national and international peer-reviewed journals, reviewed 8 law Sanhitas of Ayurveda, and was felicitated at Latur by Ayurveda Update Group for the same. He is one of the editorial board of ISSN Journal, Journum, IJIM, CMIR, Revista, etc. He presented many research papers in various national and international conferences. He twice got Best Paper Award. He was a member of team for framing Nidan Dictionary by Government of India. He was invited as resource person to many national and international seminars and conferences. He took lectures for national and international delegates of Brazil, Portugal, and Russia. Received many awards like Dhanvantari Awards from Lions Club of India, Lions Club of Nagpur, Ayurveda, Nidan Shri Award from Ayurveda Mahasammelan Vidarbha Prant, Best Global Teacher Award from Elkona, Best Researcher Award from ARCA Academy, prestigious Yadavdi Trikamji Granth Puraskar from Khadiwala Pratishthan Pune, Best Research Author awarded from ARCA, Best Book of the Year Award from Ranade Foundation Pune, Best Paper Award from Sri Ayurved College Nagpur, Best Paper Award from MG Ayurved College Savangi Wardha, and many more to come on his way. So with this, I would like to call respected Dr. Subhash Wage sir to deliver his lecture on modern physiological concepts in Ayurveda. Welcome you, sir.
Namo Namaha Sarvebhyaha. First of all, thank you very much for precisely introducing me. I think we have wasted a lot of time in my introduction. Okay, we will start today's lecture. What we are going to study in today's lecture, the topic is actually the vast to find modern physiological concepts in Ayurveda, but I will limit my discussion to the general physiology and to the cardiovascular and respiratory system. I will be brief at some point. I will be elaborative at some point wherever it is necessary. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll go to slideshow. Yes, what is the problem?
I request the participants to please mute your mic for uninterrupted session, please.
So if we have Shrikant with us, then he can help us in this regard. He can mute those. No.
Dr. Shrikant, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, already muted.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
okay, fine. We will go now. Now, to find the concept of cell in Ayurveda, many people say that there is no concept of cell in Ayurveda or cell as we find in modern science. But here is one thing that is given in our given by our Acharya. Acharya Vagbata says, "Sarva eva avayavaha parmanu bhedena ati sukshmat asankheta." Tesham संयोग विभागे परमाणुनां कर्म प्रेरितो वायु कारणम. The smallest, the meaning of this shloka is the smallest part of the organs is the cell. To that, our Acharya is referred as the parmanu. If the organs get divide to form the smallest part is the parmanu, and the size of this parmanu given by Sharangdara, Acharya Sharangdara, is jalantargate bhano yat sukshmam dushyate rajaha tasya trinshatovo bhagaha parmanu sakatyate. So if we see the dust particle in sun rays, and of that 30th part of that minute size is of the size of the cell. It may go below that also, we know, but it was a rough calculation. But the idea of cell is very clear. Now see the development of organs and the mitotic or meiotic cell divisions, what is given in Ayurveda. As Acharya Kashyapa says, pranatu bija dhatum hi vibhajati garbhasya sarvangayava. How during the fetal development, all fetal organs, they form by dividing the cells. There is clear evidence of mitotic cell division. Yathartha ushmana yukto vayu srutansi prajayate anupravishya pishidam peshi vibhajate तथा सिरम आपनेतन करोति आशय संभवम. And the vata particularly divides the cells and other structures to form the muscles, the blood vessels, and the organs. And how it forms by forming कर्म च उदित वायु वशात संयुक्त परमाणु कार्य द्रव्यम आरभते द्विअणुक अधिक्रमेण. द्विअणुक, त्रिअणुक means from haploid cell to diploid cell and triploid cell, etc., like that. Very clear evidence. And that is again indicated by what ekasya nanatu ekat, from one cell to many cells, and finally the organ. This, the meaning of that shloka: vital force divides the zygote, vata accompanied with the heat enters the muscular mass, divides the cells, creates the systems by tearing, giving rise to different organs. Parmanu is the cell, from one cell to number of cells. Mitotic cell division. This is how it is mentioned in Ayurveda. Nishek Manam Stribijam, after the fertilization of ovum and sperm. Bijadhatu hi vibhajati dvianuk adi kramena ekasya nanatva strotansi prajayate karoti ashay sambhav. And this embryonic development is also, we also find in a stone inscription of temples of Tamil Nadu, Kundadam, Vadagnatham, and Varamurtheshwara, Aryathurai temples. The concept of cell nutrition and the diffusion process that is given in Ayurveda. Tasam tu sukshma sushirani shatani saptisutani sa yahi sakrut annarusam vahadbhihi apyante vapuhu idam hi nrunam Misham ambastravadbhihi iva sindhushatai samudre prasarana akunjite kriya vishleshan tanoho. Nadya eva upukarvanti taha siu saptashatani. This is from Nadi Darpan and again from Sushruta. Saptashira shatani yabi idam shariram aram evam jalaharane bhi kedare kulya bhi upasniyate anugrahiyate prasarana bhi visheshayi druma patra sena evam tasam pratana. So these blood vessels by through its network of branches supplies the nutrition to the parmanu, the smallest parts, and upasneha iti dhatu nishanda sambandha. This here there is a evidence to the process of diffusion from the Shrikant, can you share that noise? Yes. So the nutrition in the subsequent topic, my friend Dr. Pradesh is going to talk on this Nyaya also. Here, the upasneho, that is explained as dhatu nishanda sambandha. Nishanda means the filtration. Nishandan actually the process of filtration and diffusion. Again, there is evidence siradhamni mukhanam vibhajyamananam tasam hi mukhanam tabhi apyante taihi chatan svedam abhivanti tatha abhyanga lepadi antarnayanti. How it gets diffused into the cells. Siradhamni mukhanam vibhajyamananam, dividing, they get divide to the smallest the part as like semi-permeable membrane. The blood vessels on final division have minute openings in the form of semi-permeable membrane, and through these minute pores they supply nutrition. This is the apyante, as well as carry these waste products. Svedam abhivanti vidya. Yatha sabhavataha khani mrunalishu visishya dhamninam tatha khani raso upichete. Means, as like there are pores in the lotus peduncle, there are minute pores in the blood capillaries. That is the semi-permeable membrane, through which the nutrition is supplied to the organs and cells through diffusion. There is the upasneha dhatu nishanda sambandha. We will see this again also. So, concept of filtration is there. Pakvasha yataha tatra nadyo mutra vahastu ya tarpayante sada mutram sarita sagra yatha sukshmatvatana upalabdhe mukhani asam sahasrasha nadi bhi upanitasya mutrasya amansha tantra jagrata swapata che nissandena purvat. Again the word nissandena iti upasnena. The urine, the meaning of this shloka goes like this: the urine carrying vessels always fill the bladder with urine as the river fills the ocean. As the opening of these vessels are very minute and can't be seen, the urine filtered through the vessel is slowly dropped into the bladder continuously. This is the process of evidence for filtration. And applied physiological aspects of process of filtration and diffusion is noticed in ascites. Here the acharyas have used the word to indicate that process. Koshtat upasnehavat anna saro nrisutya drushto anil veganunaha tachaha sam unamya shanayi samantat vivardamano jatram kurti, means as jatram means ascites. कोष्ठ शब्देन आहार पाकधारो अथ कोष्ठात् अंतराणां रंध्र अभावात् अन्न निस्सारो उपस्नेहवत्. How this diffusion of this transudation takes place? नूतन घटात् उपस्नेहो यथा अणुभिः बहुभिः स्रोतोभिः स्रवत् दृश्यते तत्वत्. जैसे नए घड़े से पानी रिसता है, वैसा ये transudation of fluid occurs in the peritoneal cavity to give rise to the ascites. So this is the practical application of that physiological aspect. The concept of body fluid and fluid content of the body, as per Ayurveda, Mutra is 4 Anjali, Rakta is 8 Anjali, Jala is 9 Anjali, and the Anjali Praman of other body constituents parts is also given there. But is in ancient time, the measurement was in the form of Anjali. Even if you go for Rakta 8 Anjali, if we count 1 Anjali as a half a liter, it comes around 4 Anjali, and this approximately we can do the approximation, and it turns out to be 4 liters. So as per and the total jala contents, water contents, it's 9 Anjali, but you see, as per modern science, the total body water is 42 liters, out of which the extracellular fluid, which constitutes plasma, 3 liters, and interstitial fluid is 11 liters. And intracellular fluid is 28 liters. And transcellular fluids such as synovial fluids, cerebrospinal fluid, pleural fluid, pericardial fluid, ocular fluid, it constitutes 1 or 2 liters. But the concept of body fluids and fluid content of the body is there. Causes of cell injury, this is practical aspect. Why to study the cell? Because what happens when a cell injury takes place? There are some agantij hetus in the form of traumatic factors. There are nidanarthakar hetus. There are incompatible sensory contact factors, intellectual blasphemy, time factors, and microbial hetus can give rise to those cellular injury. There is hypoxia and ischemia, immunological reactions, genetic defects, nutritional deficiencies, chemical agents, aging, psychological factors. These are all the factors which can give rise to cell injury. I will not highlight all this because we will highlight all focus on physiological aspects. So applied aspect of this general mechanism of cell injury as by doshas. How doshas cause the cell injury. This is very important, and you may not have come across this. Doshaha prakupito dhatung shapayati atma tejasa ida swa tejasa vanni ukagatam iva mudakam. Shapanam rasaha atma tejasa iti atmashakta pittam katu ushnatvat dhatung shapayati vayuhu cha shosh khara gunatvat shosha gunatvat dhatung shapayati kapho marga avrodat dhatung shapayati. As like the fire boils the water with the help of its heats, the doshas, they damage the dhatu by its own heat or virulent power. Vata causes Trota Vaigunya by its dry and stretching property, absorption property. On account of this, Vata causes Kshapan, endogenous cell injury of Strotas architecture to give rise to the pathology. For example, as we notice, Urakshata. Pitta dosh may cause Pitta by its property like Ushna, Tikshna, hot, pungent, burning, creates the Hashopa inflammation, burns the dhatus means the necrosis of the tissues, and brings out the separation in them, and accordingly give rise to the systemic features like high grade fever, pain, loss of strength, etc., weakness, etc. For example, boil. The kapha by its bandha bonding, coating property may cause the obstructive lesions in the strotas, giving rise to the strotarodha, vimargamana dhatus. We find it is in atherosclerosis, wherein this coating of fat, it causes the obstruction to the flow of the blood and ultimately resulting in the ischemia and infarction and necrosis of the affected tissues. Apoptosis is actually the one such physiological concept wherein you find the programming of the cell death, programmed cell death. How, what diseases we should suffer from, to what time period we should live on this planet, how we should die. Everything is programmed in your software of the body, and that software is in genes. So apoptosis is genetically regulated form of cell death. The average human loses 50 to 70 billion cells die each day due to apoptosis. It is highly regulated control process. Excessive apoptosis causes atrophy, whereas insufficient apoptosis results in uncontrolled growth of cells such as cancer. It is important in biological processes like embryogenesis, aging, and many diseases. How we can find that reference in our Ayurveda? Sabhav bala pravutta ye jara mrityu prabhuti hate apit vidha kalaja akalaja. Sabhav bala pravutta iti prakriti shakti jataha artha. Kalaja iti samaya prapta bhavanti. So the effects of timing, they are irresistible. One cannot control that. One has to go through it. And there is one more evidence to this apoptosis is given in Ayurveda while dividing the life phase into three parts. Trividam balam madhyam jirnam iti. The period of adolescence, period of young adulthood, and then the period of old age. So in Bala Avastha, or adolescence, from childhood to the adolescence, Balam Paripakva Dhatum, Ajat Venjanam, Sukmaram, Kleshasam, Asampurna Balam, Shleshma Dhatu Praya, Vivardhamana Dhatu Guna. So all the tissues, they are in a growing phase, and ultimately in adult stage, the maturation takes place. And this stage lasts for 3 varsha, up to 30 years. From 30 years, from the middle age starts, and Madhya Gunam Punah Samagatat Balavirya Paurush Parakram Gran Dharan Smaran Vachan Vigyan Sarva Dhatu Gunam Pitta Dhatu Prayam Ashashti Varsha. Up to 60 age, these the strength of the body, valor, your memory power, etc. That is fantastic, absolutely fine, and the entire maturity. And in the old age, all these things, Paurish Parakram, Gran Dharan Smaran Vachan Vigyanam, Brashyaman Dhatunam, it keeps on declining. So this is inevitable because of the apoptosis process. We are programmed to go through these stages. That's why. Otherwise, we would not have become old. Now, reference to inflammation. Inflammation is referred as shofa in Ayurveda. And if you go through these shlokas, the meaning of these shlokas, particularly Shvaitu Udrikta Raktasya Lakshanam, it refers to the localized Ekadesh collection of morbid doshas, dosha sangha, in the skin and muscles of Mahasastha, causing swelling, which gives rise to scar, Varnavastu, after healing. So this is the inflammation. The inflammation occurs in conditions like infected cyst, abscess, lymphadenitis, some endogenous causes, some exogenous causes like trauma, burn, Utabhishanga, which is nothing but the infections. Site of infections could be skin, muscles, blood vessels, ligaments, bones, joints, koshta, marmas, vital parts. And the local response to inflammation as per Ayurveda is Tatra Abhigata Je Vayoho Prayo Rakta Pradushan Savetha Shopha Vaivarnam Karuti Sarojit. So you can see all four cardinal signs of inflammation: swelling, discoloration, pallor, pain, and the calor, the ushma, because of aggravation of vata and the blood. Again, how this occurs: Bahya sira prapya yada kapasur pittani sandushiti vayitahi baddha marga satada visarpam utseda lingam karoti ushma yatha syat davatu siranam ayam iti shvaitu purvarupam. The vata in superficial blood vessel vitiates the local blood, kapha and pitta, and gets obstructed to cause swelling. The accumulation of metabolites in the local site leads to the dilatation of arterioles, which in turn leads to the increased local blood blood heat. Here, sera ayam refers to the dilatation of blood vessels due to increased local heat. And if we okay, after this we will see the heat of pitta, which is nothing but the proteolytic enzymes, brings out the local endothelial necrosis, kotha, and the pus formation, puya nirmiti. Puyo api vinisruto mansa sira snayucha khadati. The undrained pus, vinisruto puyo, burns the local muscular mass, blood vessels, and ligaments. Inflammation, pain is due to vata, the necrosis and suppuration is due to pitta, and pus is due to the kapha. Now, reading this, interpreting these things in the modern inflammatory mediator, in terms of modern inflammatory mediators, see sera, now how the process of inflammation occurs in modern science, as given in modern science also. Sera ayam, the vasodilation, which is because of prostaglandin, PGI2, TXA2, and nitric oxide. Sera tanutvam, increased vascular permeability because of vasoactive amines like histamines, leukotrienes. Jwara may be due to inflammatory mediators like interleukins, tumor necrosing factors, prostaglandins. Pain may be because of prostaglandins, bradykinins, and puyo khadati masam, tissue damage because of neutrophil, macrophages, lysosomal enzymes. Sagauram syat anavastitvam cha utsedam ushma atha sira tanutvam samanya linga shweto pradishtam sa vitha shobha vavarnam karoti sarujam. We have seen this in the earliest phase of inflammation. The vasodilation and increased blood flow results in increased intravascular hydrostatic pressure, resulting in increased filtration of fluid from the capillaries. This fluid is ultrafiltrate of blood plasma and contain little protein called as because of that is called as transudate, and vascular permeability is increased through various chemical mediators of inflammation. So the process of filtration is applied here. It has inflammation. It has 3 stages: Am, Pachiman, Pakvamino, non-suppurating, pus evolving, and suppurative states. Outcomes of the inflammation is complete resolution, scarring, fibrosis when there is secondary union, abscess formation, or progression to chronic inflammation. Factors influencing the wound healing are the age, build, strength, mental endurance, site, the diseases, shape of the wound, and discharge and treatment. Features of wound healing is the wound which is devoid of smell and discharge and pain, wound which is black and gray borders like pigeon, complete resolution of the swelling, complete absorption of wound debris, rudavartma, that is status, wound which has acquired the color of the skin, tvakasavarna, the one which has become even, samatalam. And this wound is said to be healed. Avedano nistrav. And factors that may alter with the wound healing: again, mediation of doshas, exercise, trauma, indigestion, excitation, anger, and irritation, anxiety. This is well evident. There's something about edema. It is the collection of fluid in the interstitial spaces or serous cavities producing swelling, say the lingam. It could be exogenous, endogenous. It could occur. It could be generalized. It could be localized, or it could be involving upper or lower half of the body. Sarva ardha gatra avashitatvat. It could be traumatic, inflammatory, lymphatic, metabolic, immunological. It could be generalized, as in cardiac cases, hepatic, renal, or allergic conditions, nutritional conditions, endocrines, venous and neoplastic causes. Edema reference in Ayurveda, the goiter, the Shwaitu is there, Mushkavat lambate, filariasis, Shopam janeti shripadam, muscular tumor, Mushtipraaradibihi, Tradushtam karoti Shopam. That Mansar Budam is Asadhyam, that is malignancy, liver and splenic asciety, pliha yakrut bhivrudda jatram jatras shopaha, yakrut pliha rogi adi apratikrude Shwaituhu charnadishu. This is reference for edema. Mechanism of edema as per modern science: increased hydrostatic pressure in cardiac, predominantly in cardiac failure, decreased plasma osmotic pressure in hypoproteinemia, and decreased plasma osmotic pressure and increased hydrostatic pressure in cirrhosis of liver, obstruction to lymphatic drainage in filariasis, increased capillary permeability and inflammation. The evidence of increased hydrostatic pressure that we had already seen in the case of ascites, as like Nutan Ghatat Upasnehavat, Anubhi Bobhi Strotobhi Sravat Dushyate Tatvat. The translation of predoxin in peritoneal cavity, evidence for salt and water retention in the we know that salt draws the water, so it is indicated for the ascitic patient not to take the salt to avoid the edema. Something about shock, we can see hypovolemic shock in the case of Visuchika, where there is the loss of fluid in the form of vomiting and diarrhea, and the features like Shavdanta Ushto, the cyanosis of lips may occur. There is a loss of consciousness, and Kshamasura Saro, this is all indicative of hypovolemic shock, and the asthma, even the renal failure can occur, mutraghata, that is indicated by the word mutraghata. Even in Goro Upadravita Trishna Maranaya, and the complication of Visuchika is also told as mutraghata, the renal failure because of hypovolemic shock. Cardiogenic shock, there is a reference from Bhel Indriyasthana, Bhel Sanhita Indriyasthana, Yada Aturasya Hrudayam Vayuhu Sangruya Tishtati, Dhamnihi Samparipidyate Sadyo Jahyat Sajivita, Sanshaya. So whenever the vata gets aggravated in heart and associated arteries and cause blockage, it kills the patient instantly. This is indicative of sudden cardiac arrest, cardiogenic shock. Hrudayam Kampate Yasya Ninimittam Puna Puna Vivalachamta Trushna Chasyat Sayam Yama Mandire. This is from Haritkrit Nadi Vigyan. It goes like a patient whose heart fibrillates again and again without any reason and associated with restlessness dies in a day. This is indicative of particularly the VT culminating in the ventricular fibrillation and the death ultimately. Hemorrhage, the applied physiology. If there is brain hemorrhage, Shirasya Atihrutam Raktam Karoti what Akshepakam, Andhyam, Pakshagatam, Shwasakasam Mikka, Nisrude Raktam, Shirasya Atiparvatam Rakto Karoti. You see, there is, whenever there is hemorrhage in the brain, it causes increase in intracranial tension. Because of raised intracranial tension, there are convulsions in the which is indicated by the word akshepakam, and there is a severe headache, shirasarujam, and the pakshagatam. It may cause the hemorrhagic stroke also, and the death also, maranam. Coagulopathy and applied physiology. You see, the hemopoietic tissue in Ayurveda is yakrut and pliha, that is liver and spleen. And you see, all the clotting factors except fourth and I think sixth, they are all produced in liver. And if the liver gets diseased in such conditions, pliha namche yakrut tadishtaya vartate, raktapitasya adishtaya. When raktapitta is the coagulopathy. Strotansi raktavayani tanmulani hi dehinam. Pitta dushtam raktam askandi. When there is coagulopathy, there is aggravation of blood by the pitta, then this is askandi. Askandi means this stanatvaraitam, and there is a tendency for bleeding. Vidagdam sagunahi pittam vidahatashi ashu shomnitam tata pravarte raktam murtam cha adho. So there is one more clear evidence. Yakrut pliha roge apratikrute shvaitu charnadishu durlab upashamo nruna kalena abhijayate jalodaram dantapadam strotabhya shonita suti. Yakrut pliha roge, there is, because of the coagulopathy, there is bleeding from the different systems. We may notice in the form of hematemesis, even the pataches are there. Gastropathy is also there. Let us see the cardiovascular physiological concepts. The conducting system of the heart as per Ayurveda. In modern science, the conduction stands for SA node to AV node to bundle of His, and we know the bundle branches. As per our Ayurveda, the conducting system of the heart is given as the Vano Hrudistitaha Gati Avakshepanam Adi. The specialized nervine impulse called Van Vayu located in the heart is responsible for the movement of blood from heart to the body. Vayuhu yati apicha ayati tatra tatha atra spandanam hrudi. The movement of Vayu impulse in the heart initiates the heartbeats. So you see, that time these nodes were not, there was no concept of nodes, or they were not invented as such, but they were having the preliminary idea that there is something electrical mechanism which initiates the heartbeat. We will see how heart acts as a pump in subsequent slide also. Again, there is one clear evidence. Vayuhu dehina hrudayam dehe sukha dukkha prakashakam tat sankoch vikasam cha swataha kuryat. Initiates itself punah repeatedly. The heart contracts, sankoch, and relax regularly by its own automatic mechanism. This automatic mechanism is the conduction system of the heart. This wave of contraction move all along the arterial tree, exerting the pressure on their walls, generating the pulse. Tato nadya chalanti asrugdharaya spuranam tata. Spuranam, the pulsations, the pulsation in the pulse because of this wave of contraction, propagation of wave of contraction. And this, here you see the heart as a pump. Vikasa martha sankocha atra nali hrudistitaha yada yati tada pranahi chedehi ayati cha bahya upaskar bhastrayam yatha akasha spandatmaka vayu yati apicha ayati tatha atra spandanam hrudi. Again, one more evidence. Dhamnyo rasavahinyo dhamanti pavanam tan. So due to contraction and relaxation of the heart and blood vessel, you see, they were not exactly the precise mechanism not given, but you see, roughly we can very well trace it out. The air is received from the atmosphere, and as like the fire glowing instrument, Bhastrika, the heart is blown by the Vayu, initiating the heartbeats, Spandanam Hrudi, to supply the blood to the whole body. As per Sharangara, Acharya Sharangara, the blood is ejected into the blood vessel as like air blown from the pipe or pump. Rasavainyo dhamanti pavanam tanav. This wave of blow, dhaman, force, is felt as pulsation in the arteries. In Western medical science, William Harvey in 1628 came to the conclusion that heart acts as a pump. The idea of heart as a pump is very well can be traced out in the Ayurvedic and ancient literature. Systole and diastole in Ayurveda, that is very clearly mentioned by Acharya Sushruta. Sapta sira shatani yabhi idam shariraram eva jalaharani vi kedari va kulyavi upasniyate anugruhyate cha akunchan prasarani devi visheshtaha visheshahi drumapatra sevinam yum tasam pratana. The force of contraction, akunchan, and relaxation. The contraction, the systole, and relaxation, the diastole of heart, and the blood vessel decides the amount of blood supply to the tissues. Prasarana akunchadi kriya satatam tanoho nadyaha ivoparamdi taha syu saptashatani nadya. Santatam, regular, constantly beats. The 700 arteries through its minute branches carries the blood and supply the nutrition to the entire body by its continuous systolic and continuous systolic contraction and diastolic relaxation action. And the pressure in this wave of propagation and pressure gradient we can also see. Sa sabdarchi hi jala santan tarangavat anuna visheshena anudhavayante eva shariram kevalam. Tarangavat. So how this wave of propagation travels, our acharyas are of the view that the blood pressure wave is fast like that of light in arteries. In veins, the wave of propagation moves like sound. which is as compared to slower speed as compared to the light. The speed of light is highest, followed by the speed of sound. And the wave of propagation in capillaries is like water, and followed by the speed of water is less than the sound. To indicate the speed, how the wave of propagation of pulsation moves through arteries, veins, and the capillaries. Acharyas use this particular terminology. This wave of propagation generates a pulse in the arteries. In Western medicine, Stephen Helles was the first to measure what was then called as the force of blood, mentioned in his book Hemas Statistics in the year 1773. He used a water manometer to measure the blood pressure in the arteries of various animals. Concept of blood pressure, coming to again that shloka tat sankocham vikasam swata kuryat puna puna tato nadya chalanti asrugdhraya spurnam tata nadya chalanti. Now the heart contracts and relaxes regularly by its own automatic mechanism. This wave of contraction move all along the arterial tree, exerting the pressure spurnam on their walls, generating the pulse. As per modern science, the pressure produced when the left ventricle contracts and ejects the blood into the aorta, it is called as systolic blood pressure. The pressure in the arteries during relaxation of the heart is called as diastolic pressure. And the difference between systolic and diastolic pressure is the pulse pressure. Now, again, we will see in subsequent slide the pulse pressure. Rudhirat plavavegena dhamni spandate muhu. Artery pulsates due to pressure of the blood in it. Thus, it is the pressure exerted by the blood on the walls of the blood vessels. There is evidence, again, there was one more evidence to it. The blood is ejected into the blood vessels as like air blown from a pump. Now, this is pressure. This wave of force or pressure, dhaman, is felt as the pulsation in the arteries. Dhamanyo prasavaino dhamanti pavanam tano. This is from Sharangara. As per modern view, also the forward movement of blood through the pliable and compliant boundaries of the arteries during systolic contraction of the heart generate a palpable blood pressure wave called pulse. So we can find the evidence to the blood pressure in Ayurveda also. And there is concept of different pulses. You can see there is reference to radial artery pulse, brachial artery pulse, femoral artery pulse, dorsalis pedis artery pulse, temporal artery pulse, and carotid artery pulse given in Nadi Pariksha Shastra. The measurement of heart rate as given in Nadi Tantra is that they used to calculate this in the pala, which coincides with the modern measurement. That is 1 pala is equal to 24 seconds. And if we actually the ancient measurements, the pulse of newborn is 60 pala, 60 in 1 pala. So if we calculate all these things, it comes out with the pulse in the newborn is 150. That is exactly the same as we find today. In 3 to 4 months is 140. Pulse of the children 100 per minute. Pulse of the young individual is 75 per minute. Pulse of the adult is 72, and pulse of the old is 77 per minute. And exactly the same what we notice today. Cardiac cycle. Now this cardiac cycle, see these are some shlokas from Ashtang Sangra. Acharya Vagbhata says, Dashmulla Sira Hruday Pratibradha Sarvanga Pratyakshu Rasatmakam Ojonanti. The 10 blood vessels attached to the heart, it carries the blood from heart to the entire body. The Acharya Bhela is of the same view, and Acharya Charka is also same view. Is also of the same view, but it carries regularly. And Acharya Sushruta said because of this systolic contraction and diastolic relaxation, this process occurs. And Acharya Charka at one place is given that Dasya Rasavaha Vidhammantya Sarvadehina. Because of systolic contraction, it carries the blood from heart to entire body and Sarvadehina, and from Rasaha Samvartamanam Hridayam Samavishiti, from the body to the from the body back to the heart. Rasaha Samvartamanam Hridayam Samavishiti Yatpura. So the entire cardiac cycle is also mentioned by Acharya Charaka. Now this cardiac cycle, as what is mentioned in modern science, is given in later on Grantha of I think of 18th century. We find reference in Uma Maheshwar Nadi Tantra, though not exactly as modern science said, but to the greater extent as like the modern description only. हृदयात आकुंचनात रक्तः कोष्ठे अन्यथा प्रदाह होती. Because of systolic contraction, the blood moves from one chamber of the heart to another chamber. tat sanchite tat uttham cha pravisya cha apraso api. Hrudayat upusam yati punha vinshati hardik. From it goes to the heart, lungs, from pulmonary artery, it goes to the lungs, and from punha vinshati hardiki, because through pulmonary veins, it comes back to the heart. Postage agatye vame, when it comes to the left chamber, punha vegina dhamini mahadhamnim ashritya. Mahadhamni, there's aorta, and because of the contraction of the aorta, Sharir Kriya, it is supplied to the entire body. Hrudayat phupusam yati phupasat hruday puna. This cycle continuously goes on from heart to the lungs, from lungs to the heart and to the body. Tat ashritya akila kayam paramparena dhavati, and to the rest of the body. So it completes the cycle. So you can notice the clear evidence to the cardiac cycle in our science also. So they have not mentioned the chambers, lower chambers, but nevertheless, they are having the Vama Koshta and the Dakshin Koshta, the right chambers and the left chambers, they have mentioned. Applied physiology of blood circulation. You see, this is in context to the action of Shodhan Dravyas. And in this, if we see this action of Shodhan Dravyas, the process of circulation is again mentioned. The purifying drugs, Shodhan Dravyas, on reaching the heart, get circulated through the whole body, upper and lower, by moving in all the directions through the network of capillaries, and reaches to the minute part of the body with its macro circulating property, and then causes the secretion of doshas and toxic waste, and brings it back to the heart, anayanti hrudayam, and from there to the excreting organs. Again, the process of circulation is given. If you see the next aspect of the applied physiological aspects of process of circulation, where it can get affect, it cause ischemia and infarction. तथा श्लेष्मल आहार सेविनो अध्ययनशीलिनो अव्यायामिनो दिवास्वप्नरतस्य आमम एव अंदरस्य मधुतरस्य शरीरम अनुक्रामन अति स्नेहात् मेदो जनयति तथा अतिस्थौल्यम आपदेति कफो मेदो निरुद्ध आवृत्त मार्गवत् शेषा धात्वान अप्यन्ति अत्यर्थम ततो अल्प प्राण भवति. शेषा धात्वान अप्यन्ति means there is a perfusion deficit, no perfusion to the rest of the organ, causing ischemia, and alpa prana means the necrosis of the underperfused tissue. They have used the terminology which was prevailing in those days. Due to overconsumption of fatty oil, food, faulty dietary habits, like eating, etc., faulty lifestyle factors like lack of exercise, day sleeping, etc. Because of that, fat gets deposited in the blood vessels, causing obstruction to the flow of the blood, as a result of which the organ to which it is supplying remains underperfused, causing petition of vata. And this vata is because of the ischemia, there is the pain. Nasti ruja vata. Because of this, the pain results. This is atherosclerosis, what you can see. The kapaj nanatma jvaji dhamni pratichyaha, dhamni upleha, upalepah, it causes dhamni shi upalepasya, means the coating in the blood vessel. Because of that, stotasam rodha, stotasam lepaha, sneha kati bandha upalapya, avritta margatva, shesha dhatvana apyante. Means the rest of the, because of this obstruction, the tissue doesn't get proper perfusion. There is a perfusion deficit, and because of that, there is a necrosis. Here you can see Shipyamanaha Khavegunyat Rasa Sajati Yatra Saha Shipya. You see, Vyanen Rasadato hi Vikshopichit Karmana Yugapat Sarvato Ajastram Dehe Vikshipate Sada. You see, the conduction system of the heart initiates the heartbeat, and because of this, the blood is ejected from the heart to the entire body, and during this process, continuously, regularly, ajastram, nirantaram. And because of this, and if there is a lesion anywhere in the arterial network, Kavaigunyatra sajjati, yes, sajjati means there is obstruction to the flow of blood. Karoti vikrutim tatra khe karsham toida, because and there it leads to the pathology. And what pathology? Yada aturasya hrudayam vayu sangrit, vayu prakop occurs because of the obstruction. Margasya avrudat ava dhatukshayat. So here is the marga avrod causing the prakopa of the vayu. So aturasya hrudayam vayu sangruyat tishtati dhamnihi samparipidya saddo jayat sajivitam. And where it is occurring? In the coronaries of the heart, in the dhamnihi related to the hrudayam, coronaries of the heart, and it is gives rise to the ischemia and infarction. And because of this, the sudden death, sudden cardiac arrest can occur, and there is a loss of life. Dushitva rasam dosha vigna hrudayam gata kurvanti hruday badam pradrogantam prachakshate. You can see here also kapha pitta avruddhata maruta rasamurchita hrudistaha. Kapha medo niruddha avrutta margat shesha datvana appyante. Niruddha margatat atyartham atha alpa prano bhavati, that is the necrosis. Now this type of obstructive pathology, ischemia or infarction of the in the brain can also occur, causing the thromboembolic stroke. The Pakshagata has been mentioned as the Madhyam Margashrit Vyadhi. Okay. The Urdhva Dhamnis refers here to the arteries supplying the head, neck, and brain. Kapha Sanghit Dhamnihi refers to the atherosclerotic plaque in the arteries. Urdhva the Tiryagaha. The Urdhva Dhamnis is the artery supplying to the head, neck, and brain. That is cleared by the Acharya Dalhana. The Urdhva Dhamnihi Urdhva Kapha Sanghita bhi Dhamnihi Vayu Ashrita Anyatra Pakshasya Sandhibandhan Vimokshan Pakshagatam Kuryat. This is explained by the Gaidasa. There is very clear evidence for thromboembolic stroke in Ayurveda also. This is an applied aspect of the physiology. Physiology of the respiratory system. Now, for the first time, you may be noticing that the lungs has been said as the seat of gas exchange in Ayurveda. This is quoted by Todarmala in, it is actually mentioned by the Harishchandra. Udan Vayuho Adara Fufusaha Kochate Buddhahi Raktavahi Siramulam Tatha Proktam Marshina. The lungs are the seat of gaseous exchange, Vayuho Adara Pupsaha. The Pran Vayu through inspiration, Udan Vayu through expiration is exchanged with atmosphere. The lungs are also the root of blood vessels. As of today, we know these main blood vessels attached to the lung are pulmonary artery and pulmonary veins. They are the Mulsiras, as mentioned by Ayurvedas. And the process of respiration, though they have not used the exact terminology as oxygen or carbon dioxide, they have used the terminology which was prevailing in those days. Acharya Sharangdra was of the view that Nabhista Pran Pravnaha Sprishtva Hrit Kamalantaram Kantat Bahi Vinaryati Patum Vishnu Pradamrutam Pitva Chambar Piyusham Punah Ayati Vegataha Pranayam Deyam Akilam Jivanam Jatram Analam. So Nabhista Pran Pravna means this abdominothoracic movement leads the initiates the process of respiration. Because of that, the important atmospheric gas to which we now call as oxygen, Sharangdra has referred it as a Vishnu Pradamrita. So because of this inspiration, this Vishnu Padamritam or Ambar Piyusham, which we may call as Ambar oxygen, it is taken into the body. The Prinayam Deham Akilam, and it nourishes the whole body. However, the precise and correct idea of oxygenation of blood, pulmonary circulation, was first given by the Arabic physician Ibn Abil Nafis, and later by William Harvey in 1628. But the preliminary idea of gaseous exchange is mentioned in Ayurveda, which is the ancient Indian medical science. Now let us see the concept of immunity. Immunity is referred as Vadic Shamatva in our science. Vadic Shamatam, Vyadi Bala Virodhitam, Vyadi Utpada Pratibandhakatvam, Vyadi Utpad Pratibandhak Sharir Balam. So Vadic Shamatva refers to the biological defensive power of the body against the ongoing afflicted diseases, Vyadi Virodhitam, and to prevent the future development of diseases, Vyadi Utpad Pratibandhakatvam. In modern context also, Vedic Shamatva is referred to immunity, which is defined as the balanced state of the organism having adequate biological defense to fight infection and diseases or other biological invasion, while having adequate tolerance to the allergy and autoimmune diseases. In Ayurveda also, Vedic Shamatva and the allergic disorders, they are described together. Variations in immunity, you see, which are the acharyas has given, which are the persons who enjoys the good immunity, and which are the persons who doesn't enjoy the good immunity. You see, durbalani, asatmi ahar upchadani, alpaharani, those who are undernourished or doesn't enjoy the good or who doesn't have the good mental tolerance, they doesn't enjoy the good immunity. Whereas the persons who are well built, having good nutrition and good mental tolerance are enjoys the immunity against the diseases. They doesn't fall prey to the diseases easily. How this immunity could be enhanced or developed in the body by artificially and naturally also. So naturally, you see, the people residing in particular country, for example, in Punjab, or born to the healthy mother and father, they enjoy the natural good immunity. But immunity can also be artificially created. For example, they used to do in case of smallpox in those days, which is now eradicated. As per Acharya Hemadri, the tachadvidam akrutrimam tat abhyasena kriyate tat krutrimam. Abhyas means because of repeated insult or repeated exposure to the pathogenic material, we get immunity against that particular pathogen. Abhyasena kriyate, krutrimam. And in ancient India, what is given in Siddhanta Nidana by Acharya Gannath Sena, Brat Masurikatvam Charmanya Utkirna Vidhi Purvakam Katichit Pidaka Krupa Patishidai. What they used to do, the secretions from the blister of the smallpox, they used to scratch it, and then they used to scratch the little mucosa of the nose, and they used to put that drop here, so that slowly the person is slowly sensitized against the smallpox infection. So this slow sensitization, this is artificial. This was the way of creating the artificial immunity. So this is artificial, this inoculation, and this artificial immunity concept of artificial immunity is also there in our Ayurveda. So we were the pioneers of concept of immunity. So applied aspect of the immunity, as it is meant, this word is pratyanik is very important. As like the seed sown in the field sprouts on getting the proper environment, in the same way the residual jwara, fever causing morbid doshas, jwara causing morbid doshas gets activated when the body's defense power gets weakened. Pratyanik balakshaya, and Vyadhi pratyanik balakshaya. Vyadhi pratyanik bal is the immunity. When it gets decreased, then we fell prey to the diseases. This is the applied aspect of the immunity. The concept of allergy, Deha dhatu pratyanik, again you see the word pratyanik bhutani. Deha dhatu pratyanik bhutani dravyani deha dhatu bhi virodham apadyanti. So deha dhatu pratyanik dravyas are the antigens. Gets resistance from the deha dhatus, that is the antibodies from the cells. Due to factors like antagonist properties of each other, paraspar guna virodhat and sensitive contact, sanyogat, unsuitability of geographical distribution, desh virodhat, and high dose matra virodhat, and as of a natural defense reaction against the antigen subhavat. The asatma dravyas, incompatible substances, also constitute the antigens to the body, and its consumption leads to allergic manifestations in the body. So some examples, paraspar guna virodhat, allergy, some of the examples of allergy we can give: milk and fish, a combination of milk and fish. Sanyog virodhat, sour and milk together, दूध फट जाता है खट्टा मिलाने से ही. The Sanskar Viruddha, the meat of the pigeon and boiled, cooked in the mustard oil. Matra Viruddha, the honey and the ghee in equal quantity. Swabha Viruddha, the toxins, the toxic, they are naturally allergic to us. Body removes it, tries to remove it at once. And because of toxin, there could be severe fulminant reaction also. That is called as anaphylactic reaction. We can trace the modern concept of genetics in Ayurveda. Please remind me also if I'm exceeding the time. Let us see. Bijasya anga pratyanga nivartako janako. Nivartako means janako bhagaha bija bhaga. This janak, that januk, and the genes. This is how the genealogy is evolved. To take my words, the genes word, the word gene is derived from this janaka, genealogy. Bijasya anga pratyango nivartako janaka. Here is the concept of genes, and it is first mentioned in Ayurveda. I am very proud to say that, and you all today will come to know that. Garbhashaya janako bijabhagaha garbhashaya bijabhaga. And you see what Chakrapani has explained, that bijabhaga refers to that part of the sperm or ovum from which organogenesis takes place. For example, the part of the ovum from which the uterus is expressed is called as garbhashaya bijabhaga. In this sense, the janak bijabhaga refers to the chromosomal, the sex determination chromosome of the sperm or ovum, on which the specific expressive genes are located. You know, the fusion of male gametocyte and female gametocyte in the uterus to form zygote is mainly the fusion of maternal and paternal nuclei, causing haploid nucleus to become diploid with chromosomal exchange and linkage. The 23 chromosomes from ovum and the sperm combine together to have a joint genetic information of mother and father. The embryonic stem cell express specific set of genes that determine their ultimate organ cell type. This is mentioned as Matruj and Pitruj Avayava from our science point of view. Manushya Bijam hi pratyanga bija bhaga samudaya swadusha pratyanga samudaya rupam purush janakam. प्रत्यक्षमापि जो बोलते मातृ पितरों सदृशानि अपत्यानि, माता पिता के समान ये बोलते ना, मातृमुखी लड़की है, पितृमुखी लड़की है, पितृमुखी लड़का है, तो अपने समान उत्पन्न होना. That is because of this concept of genetics. And you know, these maternal and paternal organs, they are mentioned in Ayurveda. The concept of genetic defects in Ayurveda, the applied aspect of physiology of genetics. This is yasya angavasya bij bhagaha upatapta bhavati tasya angavasya vikruti jayate na cha upajayate cha anuptapat. The genetic defects in the organs to be expressed. Bij bhaga, if of the ovum of sperm, leads to the abnormality of those organs in later life. Evamev purushasya yada bije bijabhaga pradosham apadyate tada vandhyam janeti. Yada punarasya bije bijabhagava pradosham apadenti. The genetic defect in the organs to be expressed, the upatapta bijabhaga of the sperm, will cause abnormality of those organs. For example, sahaj klebya, we notice hereditary impotency. If there is genetic defect in the reproductive part expression of the ovum, then offspring of that female offspring will have infertility problem. We mentioned Shandi Yoni, hereditary uterine defect. And the applied, coming to the applied aspect again, the hereditary diseases, Adibala Pravutta, Ye Shonit Doshan, Shukra Shonit Doshanvaya, Shukra Shonit, Biza Doshanvaya. This is a Biza. They have always mentioned the Biza. Kushtarsha Prabhutya, Teapidvida, Matruja Pitrujasha, maternal and paternal. The Adibala Pravutta diseases, these are due to the genetic defects in either sperm or ovum. The skin diseases like Shweta Kushta, Leukoderma, Sahaj Arsha, hereditary piles, the Sahaj Madhumeha, hereditary DM, Sahaj Taulya, hereditary obesity, Sahaj Klebya, hereditary impotency, Sahaj Badhirya, hereditary deafness. There is a host of the things I have mentioned in Ayurveda. Whatever the Sahaj, they are hereditary one. The Matruj maternal genetic defects and Pitruj paternal genetic defects. This Matruj and Pitruj, they paternal and maternal, the words also got evolved from Matruj and Pitruj also. What to say more? So thank you very much for your patient listening. I will stop my share presentation here because I'm exceeding the time, and other speakers also have to talk. But as I tried to cover as much as possible with regard to the modern physiological concepts in Ayurveda. Hopefully, you all have benefited to lesser or greater extents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on the modern physiological concepts in Ayurveda. Many comparative concepts have been cleared with this session, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now,
let us have a comment from Chairperson Madam
yeah,
also.
yes, yes. Dr. Deepa Kalia, ma'am.
Yes. First of all, a big thank you for inviting me as a moderator for this very prestigious, I must say, very prestigious webinar. Thank you all the dignitaries from the management. Thank you, Dr. Subhash Wage, sir, Principal, Jupiter Ayurveda College, Nagpur. Though I'm not in favor of learning Ayurveda in the terminology of modern medicine, but it is said that it is the need of the hour. Like if we want to spread Ayurveda globally, we have to take all these efforts. And like this is a non-ending debate whether Ayurveda should be learned through proper through proper Ayurvedic terms only, or whether Ayurveda should be correlated with the modern system of medicine. So coming to today's webinar, I must say that Dr. Subhash Wage, Principal of Jupiter Ayurveda College, covered a vast range of topics, starting from the concept of cell in Ayurveda, concept of cell division as per Ayurveda. Even he gave archaeological evidences also for the embryonic development, which has been told in ancient science. From concept of cell nutrition, and the list is so long till the genetics and hereditary diseases. I must say that UG students must be benefited, but more than UG students, this lecture was of more it is very much important for PG students as well. And I'm sure that his talk today will instill a sense of pride towards Ayurveda in all the students. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable word. Now we'll begin with the second session. I'd like to invite today's second guest speaker, respected Dr. Raviraj Pardesi sir. Before starting the session, a short introduction of Pardesi sir is must. Respected Dr. Raviraj Pardesi sir is professor and HOD of Kriya Sharir Department and is very renowned personality. He has profound knowledge of subject. The man who is always down to earth, a backbone of our department, Dr. Raviraj Pardesi sir. It's my immense pleasure to invite you here to talk on topic scientific analysis of Koshak Nyayas in Ayurveda. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Priya ma'am. I hope my screen is visible to all and I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So again, dealing with the dilemma whether the Ayurvedic concept must be understood using modern physiological terms. But as students getting admitted to Ayurveda, they come with a background in physics, chemistry, and biology. So it becomes our responsibility to make them aware with our Ayurvedic concept using these basic sciences as a tool. So with this vision and purpose in mind, I inculcate or incorporate the knowledge of these basic sciences while teaching students the concepts of Ayurveda. The purpose is only to strengthen the concept of Ayurveda, not to strengthen the concept of modern physiology. But as they are very much familiar with these terms, and it becomes easy for them to understand and grasp, at least in the beginning phase of their career in Ayurveda. As they move forward and enter into the PG, they develop their own understanding, which help them to derive and develop their own ideas. But I guess in the beginning, we can use this as a vehicle. So with this, I seek your permission to start my talk, ma'am and sir.
Oh, yes, sir, definitely.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sure. Proceed, sir, please.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So by the end of this session, the students would be able to understand the importance of providing nourishment to dhatu in order to meet the needs of the body. They'll be able to know the various types of nyaya involved in dhatu portion, which are described in Ayurveda. They'll also be able to describe the various physiological and operational processes involved in dhatu portion and will be able to apply the concept of dhatu portion in clinical practice while treating patients, because ultimate aim of learning physiology is to able to diagnose the diseases and plan the treatment accordingly. So this is a brief outline of how our ahar is getting converted into dhatu with the help of different agnis involved. The first, which is a Zatar Agni, which acts on the diet which has been consumed, which is ultimately converted into Ahara Ras. And on Ahara Ras, a particular Agni acts and it is converted into Rasa Dhatu, which again is acted upon by individual Dhatu Agnis and is converted into that particular Dhatu. So this is how individual Dhatus are formed. The Bhutagni is there inbuilt in the food items only, and wherever the role of that Bhutagni comes, it will act to convert that particular molecule in assimilable or absorbable molecule which is required by that particular cell or a tissue at that particular point of time. So Ayurveda has described that there is a particular chronology or sequence as far as the formation of dhatu is concerned. Know that, and these are produced or nourished in a kind of a progressive or evaluative manner. Like one dhatu is produced by previous dhatu and likewise. So this starts from Rasa dhatu and keeps on going till the formation of a Shukra dhatu. And there has been description of a time period which is required for a formation of a particular dhatu, and this timeline or a transit time varies according to different acharyas, but I have put it one timeline here. Rasa remains in each dhatu for particular kalas, and it takes particular time to reach to a Shukra dhatu. So this is the transit time, we can call this as, which is required for the formation of that particular dhatu, and the rasa which is having all the nutrients in it has to stay for this particular time in the particular compartment of that individual dhatu. So what are the components or agencies involved? That is where we consume the food. And there in the GIT, the substrate are absorbed, which may be in the form of carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. The ultimate purpose of absorption and formation of this substrate is to provide energy to the body. And the derivation or production of energy cannot happen without the involvement of oxygen. So we have to, or a pran for that matter, so we have to involve pranava strutas by default in the process of dhatu portion. The rasa is liquid in nature. It has to stay in the liquid form. If it has to circulate all over, it has to be in the liquid form. And for that, there is a need of a constant supply of water or drava. And this is sufficed or provided by udak vastrotas. So we will have to include this also. And of course, rasa vastrotas, which is involved in circulating that produced rasa everywhere. So as a component of a Rasava Srotas, we will have to consider the contribution of the Hriday and the arteries which are connected to the heart, which goes on spreading like a network all over the body and which makes that fluid in the form of a rasa circulating everywhere in the body. So in a nutshell, these are which have to be included as a partner or as a contributor involved in the process of providing portion to all the dhatus. So as to reiterate, during digestion, pranavayu carries the food from oral cavity to stomach. This is a process of ingestion or consumption of food. Then that food undergoes the process of digestion, means breakdown of larger molecules to smaller molecules or minor particles with the help of different juices. For example, pitta residing in the amashay, which is provided by pancreas, and this process is then facilitated and regulated by samana vayu. Samane agni samyukastha. So wherever there is some sort of a digestion of metabolic processes going on, there saman vayu will come in picture. It will decide the quantum of enzyme or hormone to be released in order to process that digestion, in order to facilitate the absorption. Once the digestion is complete, the next phase is to absorb the nutrients which are formed and which are metabolically active. After that, these absorbed nutrient will then be distributed to different part of the body as per requirement. So this is how the process which takes place after the nutrient material is formed. So Ayurveda has defined this absorption of titles of a nyaya, which are called as a dhatu poshana nyaya. So let us see what nyaya means. The examination of object or things with evidence. So Ayurveda wants this theory or a postulate to have some evidence. When it goes on to describing different nyaya, it gives that they have sufficient substantial evidence also to prove that the process works as it has been described. Apart from this, it helps the students or a scholar also to have a simpler and clear view about how the dhatus are formed. There are 4 in number. Kshiradadi Nyaya, which can be called as a theory of a complete transformation. And another is Kedara Kulya Nyaya. If we want to use synonym for this, it would be theory of a transformation. Third is a Khali Kapota, theory of a selective absorption. And there is one more, which is called as Ekakala Dhatu Poshan Nyaya, which can be termed as a theory of a dynamism. So from where these nutrients are carried out, so there is something which we can call as a pull. Pull, the term I am referring here is a place where the nutrients are placed after they are formed. So during transportation, the channels or whatever agents are involved in the transportation or carriage of that nutrient, they will pick that particular nutritional substance from that pool. So the first pool here will be a gastrointestinal tract where the substances are formed after the process of a digestion. As we all know that majority of the nutrients, they are not directly transported into the blood. They are first taken to the liver where they are stored, they are processed, they are modified. That's why there is a separate circulatory system in the gastrointestinal tract, which we call as the enteric nervous system, splanchnic circulation. So, enteric nervous system, because the activity which the GI tract is assigned is huge. So central nervous system does not keep on watching it all the time. There is independence which has been given to the enteric nervous system. The central nervous system intervenes whenever required. So like this, majority of the nutrients, they will be taken to the liver also. They are stored there for a particular time, or if they are not required by the body, they will remain stored there, like glucose is stored in the liver. After that, there is another pull or a place where these nutrients come in the form of blood, and that pull is hard, which will then pump those nutrients out, circulated in the liquid form in the blood. After that, moving from heart and getting spreaded or circulated in the body system or channels, those nutrients will be carried out by the blood and will be transported to a space which is called as an interstitium. Interstitium is a space where the nutritional components or nutrients are diffused or transported so that cell can use it whenever they are required or according to their need. So these are principally 4 pools where these terms are used while defining the dhatu also by our acharyas. So the students can have the idea what the interstitium is. Like this is arterial end of the blood vessel, and which is getting converted into arterioles and further getting transport into a capillary from where the nutrients will get diffused into the space which we call as interstitial fluid. And there are various laws which regulate this diffusion, including the pressure present in the artery, which can be because of the size of artery or size of the vessel wall diameter, then the amount of fluid present in that vessel, the amount of proteins present in that vessel, which will exert some sort of a osmotic pressure, and the pressure present in the interstitial space itself. So there are variety of factors which will affect the amount of nutrient material which is getting diffused or transported into the interstitial space. But as far as cell is concerned particularly, this is the most important and vital space from which the cell will get the nutrition or calories, whatever it requires, including oxygen, glucose, and hormone, or whatever we call it as. So what is the content of this pool? We cannot decide what cell will require what particular thing at what particular time. So our diet has to have the content required by each and every cell. So it is altogether a different issue whether that cell will require that particular nutrient at this particular point only or at some other point time later. But our diet has to have all these content with it. So that's why the Sushruta has defined the characteristics of rasa, ahara rasa, which reads as Tatra Panchabhautikasya Chaturvidhasya Shadarasasya Vivida Viryasya Astavida Viryasya Va Aneka Gunasya Upayuktasya Aharasya Samyak Parinatasya Yah Tejobhutah Sarah Paramasukshma Sa Rasa Itti Uchate. Sushruta wants the rasa to have all. He wants the food to be panchabhautik in nature. Lidam Peyaleha Bhoja Chaksha Shadara Krishnavirya Rest of the Kriyas also Snigdha, Ruksha, etc. And apart from there are other good qualities also in the Purva, Aneka Gunasya. Not only this, the food which is having content or the food having all these properties in it will undergo a particular process called as a digestion with the help of Agni, and that will produce a Sara which will be a Tejo Bhoot, which will be Parama Sukshma. He has used the word Parama Sukshma in place of a Sukshma, means he wants that Ahara Rasa, which will then convert it into Rasa, to be a Parama Sukshma so that it can penetrate and pass through each and every tiny space in the body. So that a Parama Sukshma molecule must be able to the capillary wall also and should be able to go there into the interstitium, which I have left now. So this is what we want to achieve. Yes.
So you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Just a minute. Yes. Okay, sorry, sir. So should I start this slide from beginning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what we want to achieve. We want to make a dhatu which is relatively stable, sthayi, by using a material or content which is asthayi, but which has a capacity and property to form a sthayi component. So we'll be using a aharas which is a poshaka. Poshaka means it is having certain substrate in the form of, say, carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. And with the help of Agni, Jatara Agni, they will undergo a process of again digestion. Vipakva will get converted into a Sarabhuta molecules, right? And the organs Grahani will play important role in doing this. Then that will subsequently be carried out with the help of a Samana Vayu, Vana Vayu, by engaging heart and vessels associated with it. So this is how the Nyaya, different Nyaya, ensures that the dhatus are formed using this asthayi aharas and asthayi poshaka rasa. So what is the mode of transport? As I just told, that the heart is also one of the pools where that poshaka rasa stays for particular time, though it keeps on circulating around the clock, but it stays there at least for a moment. And with the help of the dhamanis or arteries associated with it, it travels in every direction. Urdhva, Adha, Tiriyak. In all four directions, the heart circulates that nutrient material so that it can reach to each and every tissue or dhatu. And what is the purpose? The purpose is tarpana, vardhana, dharana, and yapan. So you can see that these four terms which have different meaning, and the Sushruta was brilliant enough to denote or value the work of Rasadhatu by bringing the usage of all these four terms collectively. Tarpana stands for perfusion. Vardhana stands for growth. Dharana means sustenance. So these three physiological processes are important for sustaining the physiological activity. But as we know that the definition of Sharir in Ayurveda is Shiriyate Shariram. Our body keeps on decaying every moment, right? even if we are not exercising, but in order to sustain the life, our heart and lungs keep on functioning, our hormones keep on secreting. So that requires certain amount of calories, energies. And for this, there has to be a minimum calorie requirement to sustain the basal metabolic rate. And for this, body needs a provision of some calorie or some energy continuously. So even if there is no visible physical damage or injury, but still cell will undergo a process of injury and they need to be repaired. And for that very purpose, the word yapan is used here. So this rasa dhatu, which is produced by ahar, will be used for all these purposes. 4 purposes: tarpana, vardhana, dharana, and yapana. So we will shift our focus or mode of thinking now. We will move on to the modern physiology, how the substances move. As all the first year students must have studied the membrane physiology in their very few first lectures, which they might have had in their, they must have had in their colleges. So there are concentration gradient present across the cell, which are because of either the electrochemical difference in the concentration or strength of ions, or because of some difference across the membrane because of a temperature, because of a number of molecules, etc., etc. So depending on this, a moment of molecule will be decided whether there will be a process of diffusion, which means that the molecules are moved down the hill, or whether there is a process which will require energy. The diffusion is basically a passive transport, which means like swimming in the direction of water flow in a river, where a person can move or swim easily without requiring significant amount of energy. So simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion, these are the processes which are passive in nature, which does not require any amount of energy so as to happen or complete their processes. Osmosis is also a special type of a passive transport. Then there is another mode of transport across the cell membrane, wherein the molecules are moved across the concentration gradient, or whenever there is a difference in terms of a pressure, in terms of a number of molecules. But when there is a requirement of energy so as to move these molecules against the chemical gradient or electrical gradient or both, then this is termed as an active transport. But this requires energy. As swimming against the water tide in a river, or going uphill, climbing a mountain, that will require energy. Primary active transport and secondary active transport are two examples of this active transport of molecules. But we will have to ensure that our body is engaged in transport of molecules utilizing all these mechanisms, because ultimately we want to ensure that tissues or dhatus are provided energy or nutrition, whatever they are in need of, because the ultimate purpose of our sustenance is health of a tissue. So the dhatu has been defined as dhru dharayati dadhati. Dharayati sharir samvardakan iti dhatu. Sharir dharanata dhatava. And Ayurveda goes beyond the body and considers that these dhatu provide nourishment not only to body but to prana, so which is unique in Ayurveda only. So we want that dhatu must get nourishment each and every time. So are these 7 which are labeled Rasa Rakta Mausumit, Asti Majja Shukra, are dhatu only? No. What about dosh and mala? They are also dhatu because they are also required to sustain, hold the body. So dosh and mala, they are also dhatu. So we want these also to get nourished along with this dhatu. Dhatu must be helping nourishment in nourishing these dosh and mala also. So let us discuss in brief about the special features of dhatu. Sanstana Kartutvam. Dhatu has a special characteristic shape and structure, and it has to ensure that that structure is there in continuation. The shape of the heart is has to be there because that shape is only helping him to perform its helping it to perform its work. Then there is another characteristic feature which is called as Stroto Anucharatvam. Stroto Anucharatvam means the dhatus are formed in their own strotas. Yet the nutrient prepared by them can pass or penetrate through all subsequent strotas. Means they have a capacity to allow their molecules to travel rest of the dhatus or rest of the strotas. And this continues. Even if there is conversion of molecule from form A to form B, but this is continuous, and this is labeled as a satat parinama shilatvam. Kalavata anavastito dhatu pak. Once the pak is over, that will stop. But until that pak goes on, this will keep on changing. This will keep on changing its form. Does it take care of dhatu only? No, it takes care of all three dhatu, means the dosha dhatu and mala also. Means it ensures that it is nourishing to the vata, pitta and kapha also. Then bala dhatu tvam. The strength of overall body, the physic, depends on the strength of individual dhatu also. So because of this requirement, we have to ensure that all our dhatus are provided adequate nourishments. When these dhatus are actually formed, so the formation of dhatu starts from stage of conception. Then there is an embryonic development and fetal development, right? Then there is a cell differentiation, which is a result of cells expressing some genes and suppressing other within a common genome, which leads to a development of a particular organ as a structure. But apart from structural components like cytoskeleton or extracellular structures, so we have certain enzymes also which controls the overall cellular metabolic activity. Then we have secretory products also in the form of hormone, digestive enzymes, etc. Then there are channels and pumps, as we discussed as a part of membrane physiology, which allow the passage of molecule across membranes. And there are certain receptors also which are involved in the process of communication. So if we see these components mentioned here, we can categorize them in vata, pitta and kapha and dhatu, etc., etc. But these are all the entities or agents which are involved in regulation of a dhatu portion in Nyaya. Coming to the first Nyaya, Kshira Dadi Nyaya, which says that the Kshira is converted into Dadi. The milk, whole milk gets converted into Dadi, and Dadi into curd, and curd into ghee. Means after conversion, after getting converted into Dadi, Kshira is lost. So the conversion is a total, and this totality is termed as a Sarvatma Parinama Paksha. Means the whole milk is lost, and from that the curd is prepared. The whole curd is lost, and from that butter or buttermilk is prepared, and after that ghee is prepared. Means when we have ghee in our hand, we don't have buttermilk or curd or milk. Likewise, it goes on. Means rasa will get converted into rakta, rakta will get converted into mausa, and likewise. right? But this does not happen only for the formation of a subsequent dhatu. There is a word which is called as a tridha portion, means apart from subsequent dhatu, this goes on producing other substances also like upadhatu and the nutritional material for subsequent dhatu, means rasa will produce the components which are required for its own nourishment. It will produce upadhatu also, stanya and raja. Then it will produce the nutrient material or a poshak rasa food or poshak entity which is required for subsequent dhatu also. Apart from this, it will produce mala also. Rasa mala kapha. Means it is producing the dosha side by side also as a byproduct. So this is which happens in a Kshiradadinaya. So as we saw that the at A was there, which has been totally converted into thing B. So the thing or component B, which was not earlier there, which had a particular form A or thing A. So the form B, which has been produced by that form A, must have had some characteristic features. Because of that only, it was able to produce the material which it has produced, according to Karya Karana Bhava. So in modern physiology also, we see that whatever absorbable food substances are, they need to get assimilated, which we can call as a by-assimilation, which is the process of absorption of vitamins, minerals, and other chemicals from food as a part of a nutrition. So body requires or tissue requires glucose. It doesn't require carbohydrate. But what we have consumed? We have consumed carbohydrate. Body requires amino acids. Consumed proteins. Body requires for the purpose of derivation of energy, but we have consumed fat in different forms, maybe triglycerides, right? So in modern physiology also we see that there is a process of a conversion, total conversion. So when monosaccharides are, the carbohydrate is not available. And the same thing is true for amino acids. When amino acids are formed, the proteins are not available. So there is a total conversion. And again, these similar entities or the substrates are utilized for building the blocks, like proteins are used to build muscles, right? Various tissues. The glucose is used by the energy which is required in various processes. So you can see happening in terms of modern physiological concepts and so. So this picture will, this figure will make your idea clear. You can see that this glucose molecule, if it is not required, then it will be converted to glycogen. So this form is changed. Now the glycogenolysis will again be utilized in the form of glucose, but it will not be exactly the same molecule. Though the purpose it will be serving will be the same, but the conversion had involved different type of enzymes. Means the Agni was different at both the places. So its form changes, right? So ultimate purpose is derivation of energy, right? So acetyl CoA and production of ATP is the ultimate purpose of this whole metabolic activity. Another example we can have is from hematology, right? Initially, there is only one cell which we call as a multipotent hemopoietic stem cell or pluripotent hemopoietic stem cell. And from that one cell only, we can see that whole blood cells are getting derived. So we will take example of RBC only. RBC is not okay. This erythrocyte. When we see mature erythrocyte, it is not having nucleus. It is anucleated. Before that, it was in the form of reticulocytes. When it gets matured, it will become erythrocyte. So when it becomes erythrocyte, the reticulocyte is not there. Before that, we have erythroblast, proerythroblast, likewise, right? So whenever a new entity is generated, that comes from some precursor which was having different shape, size, qualities, etc., etc. So there is a total conversion, though it has a characteristic of its precursor, but the form is changed, and the same process is happening in Kshiradadinya. So you can see that when insulin is present, absorptive state, when we have a food present in GI tract, which the cell can absorb, and when the insulin is working, then glucose is getting transported into the cell. If someone is not having diabetes, who is young, and if he consumes extra amount of sugar or glucose, his blood sugar doesn't rise. Even after eating full stomach diet, if he consumes sugar, his glucose level will not rise. Then where that extra glucose has gone? The extra glucose has been received by cell and has been converted into altogether different form, which we can see here is a glucose 6-phosphatase. So this cell will always have a deficiency or relatively low amount of glucose as compared to its outside. So there will be again always a diffusion gradient. So whatever glucose we consume, that will be getting converted into glucose 6-phosphatase, right? So this here the form is changing. So irrespective of the amount of glucose we consume, there will always be a diffusion gradient present inside the cell. If the insulin secretion is proper, if the cell's ability to sense and respond to the insulin is proper, then this will keep on happening. But if someone is a diabetic, then this will not happen, right? Because this insulin will not help this glucose, sorry, getting absorbed into the cell. Again, we can see here that the glucose 6-phosphatase, if that storage is exceeding, then the cell has a mechanism to convert it into some other form. And this triglyceride, then this will be stored in the form of fat. So there is a total conversion or a change in the form of that particular substrate from glucose to fat. So this will happen when we are not eating. Means this is a physiology which is happening at the cellular level at a post-absorptive state when there is a no insulin. And body still require certain substrate to derive energy. Then process will reverse. There is no glucose, so there is no entry of glucose inside the cell, and body is still in requirement of some energy derived molecule. So this fat triglyceride will break down, and it will then be converted into fatty acids and glycerols. Then fatty acids will become free fatty acid and will involve in derivation of energy. So here also form is changing, completely changing. So we can give a number of examples like this, but I'll prefer move on to next Nyaya, which is a Kedara Kulya Nyaya. So in previous Nyaya, there was a Sarvatma Parinaman. Here it is Anshansha Parinaman. Means only partial transport of a nutrient or a partial conversion. And this is a sequential, Kramashaha, one by one. So that's why it is called Anshansha Parinaman Nyaya also. And the purpose here is the same, to produce the Sthayi Dhatu, then produce Dhatu Mala, and to produce a Poshaka Ansha of a subsequent Dhatu Nirmiti. So this Kedaram Kulya means something which we see when a farmer crafts or designs a paddy fields where the water moves in lines. So for example, if the source of water is this, the water is poured into this line first, after it will go to this, and subsequently will keep on providing the water to subsequent rows. So the first row or first line which is close to the source of water will get nourishment first. and will get maximum nourishment if the flow of water is not similar everywhere. So this is a principle or concept which has been described in Kedara Kulya Nyaya. So this is another example of paddy 12. So here you can see that the gradient is more significant. So this Kedara Kulya Nyaya work on the law of gradient or diffusion from higher pressure to lower pressure. So wherever there is a low pressure, and if the source is of having high pressure, depending on the pressure gradient or diffusion gradient, that particular dhatu or tissue will get nourishment. So this is a channel which is present in the body. This is a circulatory network, a vessel having several tiny branches. So a fluid or a blood which is having nutrient component in it will move and will supply to the tissues or dhatus. So which are near to it, they will get nourishment first. For example, the blood coming out of heart will supply the nourishment to itself first. So that's why we have coronary sinus there in the heart, which will ensure that the coronary sinus is filled with the nutrients. So coronary arteries are first to get the blood flow. And the Moolasthana of Rasavastra is Hridaya. So basically, Hridaya, Ras, Dhatu is getting the supply of nourishment in the beginning. And likewise, we can find out whether the second in command is Ekrut, etc. etc. So this is how the Kedara Kulya Nyaya works. Yes. The third is Khale Kapot. So here are two words here, Khale and Kapot. Khale stands for field or a farm. Again, Kapot is a pigeon, a bird. So this is a Pruthak Parinama Paksha. Means a nutrient or a required entity is captured as per the requirement, or it is supplied as per the requirements. So we can take example of iodine. If we consume iodine, that is not required by other organs in the body than thyroid gland, because it produces thyroxine and it requires iodine for that. So even if iodine is circulating in the blood, picked up by thyroid gland only, right? And this transport is done actively. So thyroid gland only has the mechanism to pick up that iodine. If there is a deficiency of iodine in the blood, so whatever iodine is made available, it will uptake all that iodine. Means it is upregulation of iodine. But if it has a sufficient amount of iodine with it, then it will not absorb that much iodine. This is down regulation of iodine. So this can be seen happening under the law of this Khale Kaput there. If someone consumes vitamin D, so that will go to the bones, because bones are in requirement of that vitamin D. If some patient is hospitalized with hypokalemia, if potassium levels are low, then that drug, potassium chloride, injected in the blood will enter into the cell and will increase the amount of potassium only. So only the cells which are in need of potassium will receive that iron, which is in the form of the liquid or injection which is given to the patient. Drugs used in emergency, somebody is having cardiac arrest or hypertension, and if the inotropes are administered like adrenaline and noradrenaline, then they will have specific action on particular organ systems like heart and peripheral vessels or coronary vessels. So these all drugs or entity or nutrients or vitamins or minerals, whatever, they are getting absorbed as per the law or nyaya, which is called as a Khale Kapot. Like this field is there where these pigeons or birds have come to pick up the nutritional material they require. Even if this field is one for these all, but the destination is different because they have built their home at different places. So each one will have to fly for that particular distance against the particular challenges. Like this, this bird has his home here. This bird has built his nest here. Like you may have someone having the nest in your balcony also, right? So this is how the process is happening. So this you can understand what happens in uptake of a iodine by thyroid gland. This thyroid gland, this lamina has a particular receptor which will welcome this iodine. The other cells doesn't have this capacity or characteristic feature. So this is what which happens in a phallic hypotonia. The overall purpose of having Dhatu Poshana Nyaya in place is to ensure that the metabolic processes are carried out as per physiological requirements. And the ultimate purpose is to provide tissue or dhatu with the energy which is required for vital processes, and at the same time which are required for synthesizing new organic materials. Because if this synthesis is not continued, body will undergo a process of decay. And we have certain enzymes and proteins and some specialized functions in anabolism and catabolism activities also to see that this is kept in a sustained form. This ATP, I will not go into details of this. This I have explained. So to recap that active and passive transport, the first year student, they can understand that sodium goes inside the cell is a passive process, is a diffusion, because the concentration of sodium outside the cell is more. But what if the sodium has to be brought out by the cell, from the cell? Then there is a no diffusion, right? The concentration of sodium inside the cell is less. And we want to still pour it out. Then we need to have this process of active transport in place. So in my opinion, the law or nyaya involved in both these processes are different. Yes, I'll give one example again here, marasmus and kwashiorkor. As we all know that these are two forms of a PEM, protein energy malnutrition. So marasmus refers to generalized starvation that occurs in the setting of chronically decreased energy intake. And there is no systemic inflammation, means when there is an absolute absence of a protein for the child to consume, then he will develop marasmus. But kwashiorkor refers to selective protein malnutrition due to decreased protein intake and catabolism in the setting of acute life-threatening illness or chronic inflammatory disorder. When there is a relatively sufficient amount of protein available, but if somebody is chronically ill or having some serious illness or chronic disorder, then that patient develops kwashiorkor. So the second wala gadbad is because of hypotonia. The first wala gadbad is because of a derangement in the Kshiradadi Nyaya and Kedar Kulya. So there are pros and cons of these three Nyaya. There are some advantage of each Nyaya, Kshiradadi, Kedar Kulya and Khalekapur. But there is one Nyaya which is described by Arundatta, who is a commentator of Astaga today. He has described this under the title of Ekakala Dhatu Poshana Nyaya, which says that the Vayu is responsible for circulating ahar ras in order to nourish all dhatu at a time without interruption throughout life. And this is what we see practically also. And that's why this law is universally accepted without any criticism. But when we want to plan some therapy in a patient who is having some physiological abnormality or disease, then we need to consider all the dhatu poshana, and we have to plan our treatment accordingly so as to help the patient a bit. So I'd like to stop here, and I have attempted to give it some scientific aspect so as to make it understandable to the students who have come after completing their 12th, having studied physics, chemistry, and biology. And I'm not sure whether I have made justice, and it is up to the observer and chairperson, madam, judge whether to what extent I was able to just do justice with the talk. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Deepa Kalia ma'am to give her remarks.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for delivering such a knowledgeable lecture. And first of all, let me admit that I myself was very much interested in knowing your views on this topic. And yeah, as sir, you rightly said that since our students come from the science background, and so we need to initiate their interest in Ayurveda through modern terminologies. Otherwise, they would get confused. They will get bored. Already, they are into a state of depression, not having getting admitted into MBBS. So they are already into a state of depression. And if we if we bombard them with Ayurvedic terminologies, they will get more confused and they will get bored easily. So, as you said rightly, it is our duty to inculcate interest in their minds towards Ayurveda. As you rightly described, the role of active and passive processes in regards to cell nutrition. Yes, and they can also be very well correlated with the help of Kedar Kulyana, because all these transportation happens with the help of different channels. As we know, sodium channels are there, potassium channels are there. There are different channels for each ions, and the substances pass through these channels. What better can be the example of Kedar Kulyana than this? So it can be correlated with Kedar Kulyana. Also, transport also happens with the help of different vesicles. As we all know, and that transportation the receptors are very much responsible for that type of transport, and receptors bind to a specific substance to get them transported. So we can correlate, like these are all theories. I might not be very 100% sure about that, but that can be related with the Khale Kapotnya.
This concept, this acharyas gave the conceptual understanding of these theories. And yes, we can implement them using modern knowledge also.
But as we all know that there might be very different views of the same. We can't be 100% sure, and we will not be 100% sure. Not that my view is correct. We can't say that, and we should not say like that. As far as Ekal Dhatu Poshan Nyaya goes, we can correlate it with sodium potassium channels. As we know, we all know, it is a part of active transport. And once the sodium potassium channels shut down, as happens in case of consumption of poison cyanide, all the sodium potassium channels get shut down and the patient dies. So it can be correlated with the Ekal Dhatu Poshan Nyaya. Also, Kshirdadi Nyaya can be well understood with the help of Agnis. Like Jatragni can be well, the role of Jatragni can be very well of much importance here. As in Kshirdadi Nyaya, there is a complete transformation. Like Kshir gets converted into Dadhi, Dadhi gets converted into Navneet, and Navneet gets converted into Ghrut. The same thing happens in case of action of Jatragni also. As we all know that in the mouth, with the help of salivary amylase, the bolus is formed, and the whole bolus gets into stomach. There it is converted into, with the help of gastric juices, of course, it gets converted into chyme. Chyme goes slowly into the small intestine, duodenum. So there is a complete transformation of the initial food which we took inside our body. So it can be correlated with the action of Jatragni. The second Kedar Kulyana the action of this can be correlated with the action of Dhatvagni. As we all know, Aharas goes into different srotas, and in those srotas, the Dhatvagni acts upon that Aharas and takes the portion whatever is needed. So that can be very well understood with the actions of Dhatvagni. Kedar Kulyan hai. As far as Khalep Kapot Nyaya goes, it can be well understood with the help of Bhutagni. जैसे हम सभी लोगों को मालूम है, whenever we go outside and we are into a very hot climate, and when we come home, when we come back to our home, we drink water, and this water is, ये जो हम पानी पीते हैं उससे डायरेक्टली आप महाभूत का वहां पर पोषण होता है. तो हम यह कह सकते हैं कि खले कपोत न्याय का जो भी द रिलेशन ऑफ खले कपोत न्याय, द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ खले कपोत न्याय कैन बी वेरी वेल अंडरस्टूड विद द हेल्प ऑफ भूताग्नि. क्योंकि वहां पर आप महाभूत का डायरेक्टली वहां पे पोषण होता है. सो दैट वाज ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड, एंड अगेन आई वंस अगेन थैंक यू to
thank you ma'am,
sir. Your lecture was very
your inputs also.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now I would like to ask Dr. Sampath Bhattane sir to add his points regarding this session.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah. Again, this is the third national webinar which have been arranged by the Jupiter College. It a good initiative has taken, and a lot of efforts taken by the principal, Dr. Subhash Wage. I congratulate him. It's a good move he has taken, and is leading in a well manner. So today's the webinar on the Kriya Vishleshan. I think itself the webinar has a significance, and the significance in the sense that the students, the upcoming in Ayurveda students, and so far the new teachers also, with those who have completed the post graduation and joined in a teaching. So this kind of the aspects and the subjects will suffice, and will enlighten, will enrich their knowledge, and to propagate the Ayurveda, and the same time the Ayurveda science much more stronger in the sense that much more valuable as compared to the modern medicine also. So all the speakers, they have enlightened their valuable thoughts on the aspects, and I think this is a very much significance. I at the same time I extend my thanks to our university, all the university authorities, the Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, the registrar, and the faculty dean also, and who were the departmental the people who have extended their support to arrange such type of, and to accredit such type of the webinars. Once again, I thanks to all the college authorities also, and the speakers also, and the delegates also, who have attended in a manner of that, to make this successful, this webinar. And the coming webinars also will enlighten in this way also. Once again, I thanks to all the organizers also. They have given opportunity to speak me on this in the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. It was a pleasure for us. You have joined. Thank you so much, sir.
Priya madam,
Thank you.
Priya madam, before we come to the conclusion, I
Yes,
think
sir.
the president of Lions Club of Nagpur Ayurveda, Dr. Parvati madam, had joined us.
Yeah,
Let's
sure, sir.
have a few words from her also.
Yeah, sure, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Parvati ma'am to have some words. Ma'am, please, over to you.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Namaste.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I audible, madam?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes. Welcome to all staffs of Jupiter Ayurveda Medical College and all staffs of Tarini Ayurveda Hospitals, and welcomes to all present delegates present here. And I welcome to Mrs. Tarini Nikhare madam. Welcomes to Subhash Wage sir and moderator Deepa Kale madam, and MUHS observer Dr. Sampath Bhattane sir, and welcomes to both speakers, once again, Dr. Subhash Wage sir and Dr. Raviraj Pardeshi sir. Both lectures are very good. Sorry for I am not attending this lecture with my network issue. And welcomes to organizing committee, Dr. Shrikant Hadole sir, organizing secretary, and welcome to convener ma'am Kriya Vishleshan madam. And this is a very important session for all aspects, academic as well as practical. And this type of lectures are now very necessary for students as well as for upgrading knowledge of all lectures of colleges, lectures, professor. And thank you very much. And once again, thank you to Dr. Subhash Wage sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable words, ma'am. Dr. Wage sir, do you want to add something, sir?
Let's move to the vote of thanks. I thank from my bottom of my heart to everyone. Some respected Sampath Bhatane sir for his blessings, and the Dr. Deepa Kale, who is my senior, for her encouraging words, and as usual, her pleasant presence here. Thank you, madam. And this session so far wonderfully conducted by Priya. I congratulate you also, and I congratulate Dr. Raviraj Pardeshi sir also for his wonderful talk on the subject. I thank all the audience for their patient listening, and everyone from everyone from on behalf of Jupiter College.
Thank you so much, sir. You have given me chance to be a convener, sir. Thank you so much for that. And I thank everyone from Jupiter Ayurved family. And now moving to our last session, a vote of thanks. Now I would like to call Dr. Vaishali ma'am. Over to you, Vaishali ma'am.
Thank you, Priya ma'am. Good afternoon to all. I, Dr. Vaishali Mishram, deemed it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Today, we all witness the great academic feast from both the speakers. First and foremost, I thank to our guest speaker, Dr. Raviraj Pardeshi sir, for his wonderful talk on scientific analysis of Poshak Nyay in Ayurveda. Dr. Pardeshi sir had done justice with that. He explained very precisely. I am very much thankful to you, sir, on behalf of JMC team. Similarly, I thank to our today's eminent chairperson, Dr. Deepa Kale ma'am, for wonderful remarks. Thank you so much, ma'am, for spending your valuable time with us. I am also thankful to our principal, Dr. Subhash Wage sir, for his thoughtful, provoking lecture on modern physiological concept in Ayurveda. Thank you very much, sir. I am very much thankful to today's observer from MUHS side, Dr. Sampath Bhatane sir, Principal BR Harnik Ayurvedic Medical College, Thane, Mumbai. Thank you, sir, for your presence in today's session. Also, I want to thankful to Dr. Parvati Rane ma'am, President of Lions Club. Thank you, ma'am, for your presence. I am thankful to Organizing Secretary, Dr. Hadole sir. Last but not least, I thank all the audience for attending the session calmly. Once again, I owe my gratitude to all. And with the permission of respected HOD and respected principal sir, I conclude the session here. Thank you.
Thank you, Wage sir.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pardeshi sir. Thank you, Subhash Wage sir. Thanks a lot.